The financial markets having a good year so far, plus Apple revealing plans to spend some major cash. And most people might not know it, but their 401k comes with hidden fees that are about to be revealed. Mike Rogers is the president of 360 Financial, here again tonight to talk about some good news finally, right, Mike? Finally, good news in the financial sector for the average consumer. So let's start with that new law that's going to be taking effect this summer that lets 401k holders know exactly what they're paying for their savings plan. Explain what's the change here.
Right. Yeah, there's going to be two different fees that are going to be required now to be given to either the employee or the employer. Starting in July, each employer is going to receive from their plan sponsor, their vendor that they're using, they're going to get a fee structure, and it's going to say exactly what the fees are. And we're talking about fees here for the administration, talking about fees for record keeping, we're talking about management of the mutual funds that are within the 401k plan. Starting in August, your viewers are going to get the same sort of disclosure kind of on their statement that's going to say, for example, if you have $5,000 in XYZ fund, here's what the costs are to that fund for you as a participant to the plan.
Mm-hmm. You know, you talk to a lot of people that probably figured that was free, but they're going to find out not so. Are people going to be able to change any of their plans and eliminate some of those fees for 401ks?
Well, one of the things that they have to look at is what are you paying for? And so, again, if the employee is paying for administrative fees and they're paying for record-keeping fees and they're paying for money management fees, those could get pretty high. So can they make a change? Well, they can look at the other options that they have. They can also compare against, the marketplace, what's out there. But a lot of employers, hopefully this information gives them the ability to go back to their employee and say, to their employer and say, you know what? Can we work with this? Can we get the fees down a little bit so it'll be better informed consumers?
Okay, now we got to get to the markets. They've stayed up consistently all year, so I want to take a look at those numbers. Is this the way it's going to be moving forward now?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, the market's been a lot better than the weather tonight, that's for sure. So here's a good example of three different indexes that we have out there. Dow Jones is up almost 9% for the year, came out of the gates pretty strong. The S&P 500 is up about 12% for the year. Nice returns there, and that's 500 U.S.-based stocks. And the reason I point that out is I'll bring it up in here again in a second. And then the NASDAQ market, which is a few thousand stocks, is up about 17% already this year. Can this continue? My bet would be really look at your portfolio, see if you've made a substantial amount of profits in those areas and what you should do with it as a consumer, as an investor.
And then we have to get to Apple announcing today they have nearly $100 billion in cash lying around that's going to end up back in the pockets of their shareholders. So what does that mean for the common investor and consumer?
Well, it's a good thing. A lot of your viewers might say, I don't own the Apple. I don't care. It doesn't make too much difference to me. But those numbers I just showed you for the indices, the S&P 500, about 10% of that 12% increase is because Apple stock has been doing so well this year. So the consumer, again, the investor, is going to get maybe a dividend if they own the stock outright, or they could get a dividend through the mutual fund that they bought that has the stock in it. So whether that's an actively managed mutual fund or an index fund like in the S&P 500, or that NASDAQ number of 17%, again, driven by technology and driven by how well Apple's been doing.
Well, Mike Rogers, it's good to have you in here finally to talk about some good news when it comes to the markets. President of 360 Financial, thanks so much for coming in tonight.
You're welcome, Jeff.